Hey y'all, hey, it's another episode of Bonafide, her podcast featuring the one and only Hayley Manners.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, and I feel like it's been a long time coming, so I'm just hyped to get started.
Yes, girl, because it feels like it's been months. Like, what? It's almost October, and we
Yeah.
saw each other at June, so it's like, whoo. So let's get to it. So, Miss Hayley, can you tell us like your sports journey and how you got to where you are?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I can start like a little bit from the beginning, but I had been growing up playing every single sport in the book. I played basketball, volleyball, soccer. I was a gymnast for like 6 years. I did it all. And then in high school, I just grew way too tall for gymnastics. And I was like, okay, let's try something different. Picked up some spikes and got on the track and started long jumping. And I was like, okay, I think this is my calling. I love it, and I'm super excited to continue it. And I got an opportunity to continue my career in college at Central Michigan University, which is where I did my undergrad. And honestly, the rest is history. Now I'm here at UCF, and I'm going into my sixth and final year of NCAA eligibility, which makes me a grandma in the college sports space. But I'm super excited to just, come off of injury and give it my all in this last season of collegiate athletics. So,
So, what was the transition like from Central Michigan to like, the UCF? What was the transfer transition like?
yeah, honestly, I feel like it was night and day. Definitely in a respectful way, but Central Michigan is more of like a mid-major college. I think there's like 20,000 students, so it's very like small college town vibes. And I absolutely love that experience because I made such great friends and we had amazing experiences. But when I transitioned over to UCF, they were just entering into the Big 12 conference, and it was like triple the size of CMU. So I saw different people every single day. And, going into grad school is always a transition from undergrad. Classes are a little different. It's a little bit more challenging. You kind of have higher expectations from professors and all that. But the athletics atmosphere was absolutely insane. It was pretty much everything that I had ever hoped for in a college from the beginning. And I just feel like UCF does it bigger and better. So I'm just really happy to be here.
That's awesome because UCF they got a great sports program. I remember like when you know, they're like a high mid major, and I would always hear like their football and track and stuff. So it's it continues to grow. So for my question for you is like, do you hope that with track? Do you hope to see it continue to grow like in viewership and increasing like support?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think honestly, we're already getting there. For UCF, I can go back to before I was even here, but when they were in the American Conference, they were so successful. Like, I have teammates who have like 4 championship rings from the American Conference. And, transitioning over to the Big 12, it's obviously a bit of an adjustment. But I think for the sport overall in track, it's just amazing to see female athletes finally being celebrated. And that's why I'm rocking my everyone watches women's sports shirt. Um, but yeah, I don't know if anyone or if you had heard about the Athlos event in New York City that just happened, 2 days ago, I think? But it was basically a track meet that was featuring only women, some of the biggest stars like Gabby Thomas, in the meet, and they were running. And, the champions got prize money. They got these little crowns instead of medals or whatever the other prizes may be. And it was just like a whole celebration of women in track and field. And that's something that we've never seen before. Like Megan Thee Stallion performed there. I think that was so iconic. And I was like, damn, like I want to be there next year, either competing or, working it. We'll see, where the cards fall. But it's just so amazing to see, track and field specifically and female sports finally getting the attention that they deserve. So excited to see where it goes in the next couple of years.
Yeah, because I was like, when you mentioned Alphos, I was like, oh, that because I saw a couple of people that were in women in sports that does like the broadcast and stuff. They were there, So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, so I was like, oh, I was like, I didn't know. I was like, it's interesting. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So
No, it was cool because it had never been done before, but I think it got a lot of positive attention, and everybody that I know that was there or watched it had a great experience. So I'm hoping it's going to be an annual thing and they can keep recreating that.
yes, because like I've like, you know, it's so the track and field is so interesting. Like y'all got a lot of stamina. I'm like y'all just the endurance is real. I'm like y'all got it. I'll just walk the whole mile for the. I'll jog then walk, jog then I'm good. Y'all got it.
Yeah,
Y'all
you know what? I'm right there with you because as a jumper, like I'm not running miles either. So I give all the respect to the girls that do. But me personally, I'm gonna stick to the sand.
so speaking of which, how important is representation when it comes to women's sports, especially like somebody you're a long jumper, but also as an international woman and a black woman as well as a student athlete? How important is representation when it comes to women's sports?
Yeah, absolutely. It's super important. And again, I just feel like it's very inspiring to finally see some of those, Black female athletes or professionals in the industry, females in general, that are finally like getting their moment and are inspiring the next generation. I feel like for me personally, I never really imagined myself as, a woman in sport outside of track and field or athletics in terms of competing. But now that I have found this passion in, you know, women's sports, but also pursuing a career in the pro sports industry, it's just amazing to see people that I can look up to, on the big screen, or women that are broadcasting. And I was just reading an article about how one of the first full-time coaches for, I think it was Seattle hockey team or something, is now a woman. And it's like representation like that is so important because it makes us realize, as the next generation incoming, that we can do that. And it's not impossible for a Black female to be the head of a department, or women can run the show. It doesn't always have to be men, and even though it's a male dominated industry. So it's definitely important.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, we run the world. I mean, we run the world, girls.
Absolutely.
And speaking of which, too, like with representation, you have like, it also leads to the NIL. Like, how impactful has the NIL been to you, especially like, with different events like the Athlete Con and all the events that surrounded it? How impactful has the NIL been to you in your career as well as life?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I feel like I could talk about this for hours, so I'll try to narrow it down. But
Girl, the floor is yours. So, girl, I'm here for it.
yeah, no, I guess we'll start with obviously when the rule changed, right? It was kind of like this crazy time where nobody really knew where to begin with it. And especially as an international student athlete, there are certain implications that weren't really conveyed to us at first. And then, all of a sudden became this like big no-no. Like, international student athletes should not be participating in any sort of NIL deals because it could jeopardize our visa status while we're studying here in the United States. So definitely it was kind of like a exciting moment in terms of being able to continue to build your brand and having it be more normal to kind of grow on social media. But it also kind of negatively impacted certain athletes, especially our international athletes, because of the rules against it. And so me personally, as someone who's very, very interested in NIL, I absolutely love the personal branding aspect of it. And I think that everybody should be taking time, not only as athletes, but just everyone should be taking time to, refine their LinkedIn profile. And, if you want to be somebody who has influence or some type of creator, like being consistent with posting your content. And, I hate the word niche, and I don't even know what that means still, like finding your niche. But I think that you should just post content that, one, can be valuable to others or inspiring, and also that makes you happy, because at the end of the day, like, it's your platform, and you definitely want to make sure that it's something that's representative of you. But kind of more specifically to the NIL space, I think it's really exciting for college athletes to be able to finally capitalize off of those things. I think it's been a long time coming, and athletes put in a lot of work and deserve to honestly, make money off of that stuff. And it's really cool to see some of the really big names that have taken advantage of that. And I don't know if you watched The Money Game on Prime, but that documentary with all the LSU athletes was super cool. And I feel like it broke it down really well how some athletes are, capitalizing off that. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, because I've heard of it and I started watching. I was like, man, like if people could take the time, like how, you know, it could it's simplified in a way where, athletes have been, a lot of people have been making money off of these athletes for years. And then
Mhm.
when it's finally the time where the athletes finally got the compensation, it's like it's a whole celebration now. So it's like about time because, you know, student athletes are the hardest working people. Like people can't imagine the whole time that, getting up at 4 or 5:30 in the morning and then they don't come home or rest till like maybe 10 or 11 at night. So
Yeah. I mean, even just speaking off of experience, NIL for some people is like a whole nother job, depending on how seriously you take it. And it's crazy because my busiest days, sometimes I have 3 classes in a day right now, and they're like 3 hours long. So you picture three-hour classes plus practice and rehab, and then, any homework that has to get done. Eating takes up time, and then making sure you're getting enough sleep, and then adding like the content creation piece on top of that. Filming takes a lot of effort, getting the right shots and scrolling so that you can see what the new trends are, and then going back and editing. And so it's just crazy that, a lot of athletes, lots of respect to anyone that is really taking it on seriously, because it takes a lot of time and effort, especially to be consistent and to be doing it well. So, yeah, lots of respect for anyone out there doing that.
how are you able to, with all that, the school and the meets and practices, how are you able to balance all that with content creation?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a person that writes everything down. Like, that would be my way to stay organized and just make sure that I'm getting everything done. I have a planner, I have like all these different notepads lying around my house, and I just use that religiously because otherwise I would never be able to stay on top of anything. But yeah, I think it's just, priorities have been something that I've learned how to kind of rank them over the years. I mean, going into year 6 as a collegiate athlete, I think I know a thing or two by now on how to time management skills, and just how to balance everything. So I definitely make sure to keep my body in check, make sure I'm sleeping enough, eating good food, and that's kind of like the first priority, because if I don't do any of that, I'm not going to be able to do anything else. Like, call me a grandma, but I got to get 8 hours of sleep at this point. Otherwise, I can't function. But yeah, no, I would say like just making sure that you kind of get the stuff that needs to be done first, and then doing your content creation, because as addicting as it can be to chase the numbers and the people who are making money to keep raking in those deals, you got to make sure that your body is right so that you can compete and train. And you also have to make sure that your grades are right in the classroom, because otherwise you won't be able to do any of the stuff that makes you marketable as in NIL. So that's what I would say.
Ooh, snap, snap, clock it. I enjoy that because speaking of, making sure you're right, with September being, we're almost at the end of September, but September was known as, Suicide Prevention Month. And a lot of people don't understand how important mental health is, especially student athletes. So for you, how important is mental health to you, especially as a student athlete?
Yeah, I love this question because I feel like maybe a year or even 2 years ago, I probably would have been uncomfortable answering it. But now I've kind of embraced, talking about it. And I've just been inspired by a bunch of other athletes, excuse me, and people out there who, you know, have kind of taught me and led the way in saying like, hey, like it's okay to speak on your mental health and, tell others that it's okay to talk about that. And I think that the way that I was introduced really to it and to having these conversations is through an organization called the Hidden Opponent, which I joined in January. And it was founded by a super cool athlete. Her name's Victoria Brown. She used to play volleyball at USC. And she basically started this advocacy group for student athletes, college, high school, across the world. And we basically have conversations about mental health, the importance of taking care of it. And, with September being Suicide Prevention Month and World Mental Health Day is coming up on October 10th as well, we've had a lot of conversations and different workshops talking about this importance. And so I think it's really good for student athletes who might be curious about learning more and talking about, anxiety, depression, all these things that a lot of athletes face, maybe even without realizing. So I think it's a super important topic, and I've learned a lot about it from professionals in the last couple of months being in the program. But yeah, it's definitely something that I stand behind now. It's important to me, and I love to kind of convey that message. So,
Yeah, because like I've always been a huge believer advocate of student athletes, especially with mental health and like their well being, as
mhm.
well as and I feel like you see all these people like that, the fans, and like if I always say, you know, if you're really a fan of the athlete, you have to respect them as a human first. You have to accept them as human first. You can't demean them when they're vocalizing how they're feeling or vocalizing their passions outside of sports. But it's okay for them to be a spectacle to your enjoying. Like that don't work like that. So
No.
So it's just, I think it's like my thing is like if I always say you can't be like I said, you can't be a fan of that athlete if you can't accept them as human first. And I think to me it's a lost like gem that a lot of people need to really evaluate and need to remember. So
Yeah, and I can say I definitely relate to that. And I feel like in the last year, I've learned that more than ever with having, a season ending injury with tearing my Achilles back in December. That set me out for the entirety of last year. And so the injury really forced me into kind of thinking about who I was outside of track. And I feel like this happens to any athlete that has a major injury, but it's really like giving me perspective on, things that I like to do outside of competing. And I feel like it's really important to recognize, as a fan, recognize that athletes are humans first, but also yourself as the athlete. It's really important to be like, hey, my sport does not define me. It's something that I do, it's something that I love and that I put, a lot of time and effort into. But at the end of the day, the results do not define, how kind I am, how good of a, sister or daughter that I am. Like all those things don't really, matter when it comes to your sport. So definitely agree. Human before the athlete, and you definitely got to take care of yourself before, you give it all to your sport.
oh snap snap, I'm here for it. Hey, I'm here for it. So
We are talking the talk today.
girl, I wish people I wish people would understand it because like just I've seen like me I've seen it so many times. I mean from being a student athlete manager, I've seen the the experience of the student athletes, all the hard work. I've seen like how they have all this weight so much and they have to put on the poker face that nothing is
Yeah,
wrong with them. So it's like come on now, it's okay. Like you got to take yourself a break and stuff and just, you got to do, I always say, you got to do what's best for you and your well being because you only got one life. Everything there's going to be a day where everything is going to stop dribbling or stop throwing or even stop running. So just, but
absolutely. And I think that, hopefully it doesn't take a major injury for a lot of athletes to realize this. Unfortunately, that was the case for me, but at some point, I think every athlete will have that realization of like, sport is going to end one day, and that's okay. Like, it happens to everybody, but you just kind of, the people that think about who they are outside of sport are going to be more ready for that transition. And, those who don't will unfortunately probably have to learn kind of the hard way of like, figuring out who they are after athletics. So yeah, if I can give any message to student athletes out there right now is to tap into things that you like outside of your sport, whether it's a hobby or a career path, something that you enjoy doing that is not, you know, dribbling, running, any of that stuff, and just really embrace it, because one day that might be, the thing that you really cling on to. So
For sure. And my question for you is, um, you mentioned like, as an international athlete as well, like there's stipulations of the NIL. Like, can you explain, like break it down to where folks can get a better understanding about it?
yeah, absolutely. So basically, a lot of the international student athletes that come to study in the U.S. and play a sport are on what's called an F1 visa status, and so that is universal to anyone that comes to the U.S. to study. So it doesn't matter if they're an athlete or not. You have the F1 visa status, and everyone on that has the same rules. And so it allows you to work up to 20 hours per semester, but it has to all occur on campus. So when you think about NIL, people travel across the country to different events, or, they sell merchandise on a website, or they'll do like a brand collab on social media. That kind of stuff doesn't fit into the on-campus work column, if you may. So it's really tricky to navigate because you have to be doing something that's on campus. And if you're not, the only exception is you could do some sort of work that's related to your degree. So if you're a nursing major, like you can go out to a hospital, somewhere out in your community and work for them if you have, a special form filled out. But that's kind of like the only exception that international student athletes have for work. And so, since influencing or NIL things like social media brand deals are considered work, it's something that we're actually not allowed to do because it can put our visa status in jeopardy, and you don't want to have any implications with that. So everyone is pretty much advised to kind of stay away from that. And then if you ever wanted to kind of pursue, US citizenship down the line, it could also hurt that process if you were to engage in NIL while you're studying. So it's kind of tricky, but with that F1 visa status, you're pretty limited on what you can do. And pretty much the advice right now is that if you want to participate in NIL, then you have to go back to your home country specifically. So for me, I'm from Canada. So if I go home to Toronto, then I can do NIL deals there because I'm following the laws of the country that I'm from. But if I were to go to, say, Mexico, it might not be as clear cut because I'm also not from there, and Mexico has their own laws related to that. Um, so I hope this is making sense, but everything kind of outside of the F1 visa, there's been a couple exceptions of people who have been able to successfully do NIL because they have different visa statuses. And I'll plug myself a little bit, but I wrote an article about this during an internship this summer. So I don't think my LinkedIn is tagged on here, but if you guys go to my LinkedIn, I literally wrote a whole article about it. But there's another visa type called the P1A visa, and that's like the pro athlete visa. And so one of the examples is Cameron Rogers. She's a Canadian hammer thrower, and she's, world champion, Olympic champion. She's amazing. And she achieved pretty much all of this during her time as a collegiate athlete. So she actually switched from the F1 to the P1A visa, and she was able to start making money off of NIL because she was considered a pro athlete now. And she had this different visa status that had rules where she could make money primarily from her sport. So there's like different avenues, but again, like she was at the top of her sport, top of her class. Like you kind of have to be at that level in order to qualify for that. So I would say that there's definitely still a lot of work to do in terms of getting kind of like the average, international student athlete the ability to pursue NIL. But yeah, I guess that's kind of a long way of saying like we're basically not allowed to do it right now unless you're at home. So
Girl, I was like, I was here for it because I was like, so basically, it's so like say if like a brand were to have your name on it, like if you were to have merch with like a store, you cannot promote it, but say your teammates can promote it for you.
that I actually have never explored that option of, if somebody else is marketing it for you. Um, that's actually really interesting. I never thought about it that way. If I had if I had a merch line that I was doing with a certain brand here and I went home to Toronto and then started posting about it, that would technically be okay. But I never actually thought about, teammates supporting you and promoting it. So that could be some kind of loophole. Again, I'm not like a legal advisor or anything, but I feel like that could maybe be, a way to explore.
Yeah, because I remember hearing where what's it called? And I just found out Aaliyah Edwards, who used to play for UConn, and I didn't
Mhm.
realize she was Canadian. She could promote, say, like if the UConn NIL store they had her jersey, she could not promote it because that she's from Canada. There's
Yeah,
a work visa, but I think some people like say her teammates or somebody could promote it for her, say like just so she won't be like say in trouble. So like
yeah,
but I was like, man. So it's like NIL still has a long ways to go where because you know you have a lot of athletes that are international that can bring so much money as well as people that are huge fans of them. They watch them because it's like they represent them very well and like people
hmm,
follow them. So it's like it seems like the NIL has still a long way to go to where it can, work for not just domestic athletes but also international athletes for opportunities.
yeah. No, for sure. And it's so funny that you bring up Aaliyah Edwards because she's actually a family friend of mine. Like our parents or my dad and her dad like know each other pretty well. So it's been cool to see her journey from UConn, signing her deal with Adidas Canada, and then now playing in the WNBA. So it's really cool that you mentioned her as an example. But yeah, there's definitely a long way to go for these rules in terms of international student athletes and NIL because at the end of the day, like there's going to be some big name athletes like herself, people like Zach Edey, and all these athletes who could be really cashing in that are missing out. And so I think it would be great to see some progress. I know that there's a lot of legal sports counsel out there working on it, but hopefully those rules can change soon for us.
Oh yeah, because you know it's so many opportunities for I feel like there's so many opportunities for everyone. So and plus it gets a better if you think about it, like I didn't know a lot about like international students, like the rules about it, but it also
Mm,
could give like say, a more perspective of like people can learn like what's it like to, coming from one country to having to adjust another country to like, fulfill a dream and doing
yeah.
what you love to do. So but I kudos to you, girl. I just wanted to give you your flowers. I love this for you because
Aw,
you you stay slaying all day, every day. Like,
I appreciate
girl,
you.
you were slaying. When I tell you you slayed at the athlete con, I was like, go ahead, girl. The braids and the outfit. I was like, and then the
I had to
sneaker
do
ball event too, girl.
it. No, that was such a great time. And it was so cool to meet all of those athletes. I was just talking to Sam the other day, and sounds like she's got some really cool plans in the books for the next event. And I'm just really excited to, continue to meet more incredible people like yourself at those events. It was so much fun.
Girl, I was like, cause I was like, I felt like I was in like I was like, I know I'm not an athlete, but I really want to be able to connect with like I have a platform. I really want to be able to have all these the female athletes to be able to share their voice. Because me, I don't gatekeep. I'm going to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to share their stories and stuff. That's my mission because everybody got a story to show. And plus, I was like, I'm here for it. I want to be able to I'm always support. Like I said, I'm a huge advocate of student athletes. I know how it is, and just for them to work hard and finally get a chance to get compensated about that darn time.
Yes.
So, that darn time. I know it's the Lord's day, so I had to just like kid version of it, but kid version. But what was it like, with the shout out to Sam Green for the athlete con, shout out to you,
Shout out
girl.
to you, girl.
But what was that like? What was it like to go to a function like that, athlete con, to meet everybody, the student athletes and the brands, and just be able to network and connect with them, like even after the event?
Yeah, I mean, I could say so many good things about that event because there had never been anything like that. And, for Sam to go and organize that and pretty much execute it all on her own was absolutely insane. I was super lucky to be one of the athletes that she brought out there and, connected with all of these brands that she had partnered with to get us a bunch of goodies and put us in a room with, marketing professionals and partnership people that could help us literally facilitate a deal on the spot. And obviously, as an international student athlete, like I had to kind of take that with a grain of salt. It was great to make those connects and reach out to people that were there down the line. Maybe if I'm home in Toronto and they can hook me up with a deal while I'm there, then that's great. But it was just really cool to see kind of like a group of athletes that one didn't know each other before, but who all shared kind of like the same values of connecting over social media and being proud of like building our brand all in one room was just a superior feeling. Like, how sometimes if you're filming content, like you whip out your phone in public and it's like all awkward because like people are staring, like they don't really get it.
Yes.
It was not like that there. Like you could whip out your phone, use your little, thing to stick it on the wall or pull out your selfie stick, and everybody was all hype about it. So it felt like a very safe space for athlete creators. And it was just very exciting to kind of get to know people that are chasing the same dream as you in terms of, creating as an athlete in college. So 10 out of 10 recommend. And even on the brand side, like it was great for them because they literally could put their products in the room and have a bunch of athletes just post about it and get all this free marketing. So it's a win-win on both sides.
Oh yeah, cause girl, what I tell you, I was like, when I got in there, I was like, I know, not, I feel like a little off, but then I was like, I recognized some of the athletes because some of the athletes that had came there were on my episodes way early. So like I had Riley, I had Amaya, and then end up having later on Sabrina on here. Sabrina had Phoenix, Cadence. I was about to call her Candace. Cadence. So it's like for me, I was like, this is a great opportunity for not only, for the athletes because this is something that it helps them build their brand and it helps their stories to continue to be an inspiration. So it's like I'm gonna make sure y'all get y'all's flowers and everything. That's all.
Yes. And we appreciate you for that because I feel like it's opportunities like this that really help us stand out and I feel like build more confidence to keep putting our names out there because, especially for us international athletes, going back to that, like something like this is super, super valuable because, we can't necessarily make money off of deals right now while we're at school. And so being able to hop on a podcast like this and share our story, reaching, your audience and everything like that kind of just helps us, expand our reach and be able to, make those connections for in the future when we can pursue those deals. So we love you for this and it's been awesome.
I will try later on because it's something I feel like it's something about words of affirmation, like where usually the empowering people. I'm usually empower others, encourage others. But it's something about when other people encourage me, I'm like, let me cry later
Yes,
on.
come on, you deserve your flowers too.
Girl, but my question for you is, what's it like to be an inspiration to a lot of people, whether it's, the younger generation or those that are like ahead of you? What's it like to be an inspiration?
I think it's an honor, honestly. I absolutely have loved kind of this process of building a bit bigger of a platform and kind of having an influx of DMs from younger athletes that have been like, hey, I really like your content. I'm really inspired by you posting about your injury and, being open about speaking on mental health and all those things. It kind of just fuels me to keep doing that because I know that I'm making an impact on other people. And I think honestly, a lot of that stems from being an older sister. Like, I'm the oldest daughter and I have two younger sisters. So I feel like I've always kind of had that role of leading by example and inspiring in a way. And so it's just kind of cool to see that reflect on people from all over. Like, if you look at my follower insights, like, it's not just people in the US or Canada, like, it's people from all over that have either reached out to me or have expressed how, thankful they are for me posting content that's either relatable or inspiring. And so, yeah, it honestly means the world. And I'm just excited to continue to keep building that. So,
Girl, I'm telling, where my little fan at? Man, at this point, my fan is over here somewhere. This is my fan right now at this moment because, ooh, because I used to have my little fan, my little planner as a fan, but like, ooh, just like fan effects right there.
hyping me up, girl.
But laughter is the medicine to the soul. I've been letting folks know laughter is the medicine to the soul. So you gotta laugh. You gotta laugh at all times. Even if you laugh while you crying, that's usually sometimes when people be crying and laughing. It's like, that's that. Yep. That's when you know you're doing your job very well.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
but my question for you is, if you had to collaborate, if you had like a collaboration brand, like a wish list of a collaboration brand, who would be like your top 3 or 5?
Ooh, okay. Let me think strategically here. There's definitely two that came to mind right away, and that's Nespresso, because I am a coffee girl through and through. I'm like looking at my Nespresso over there. I'm probably gonna make another one for this afternoon so I can do my homework later. But I love coffee, and so I think it'd be really cool to partner with Nespresso on some kind of, you know, maybe holiday ad campaign. I feel like that would be really cool with all the like festive flavors. I think in terms of like apparel and like track stuff, I love this brand called LSKD. They're an Australian apparel company and they make like a lot of training, clothing and like the briefs that track girls wear to compete. Like, they make all of that stuff and it's just such high quality. I have a few pieces from them and I know that they just opened an office in somewhere in California, so they're here in the US and it'd be really cool to work with them. I feel like even like a tech brand like Apple would be really cool. I've seen some people sponsored by Apple who get like Beats and they get new, iPhones, MacBooks when they come out. And I just feel like as a creator, that could be really clutch, but also very cool to have like the most updated technology. And then outside of that, just one for fun. I guess it's not really like a brand, but like to collaborate with some kind of Canadian artist like Drake or Justin Bieber, like, whether it's with their merch line or, some kind of cool activation with them. I just feel like that would be really cool to kind of represent the Six in my hometown because I'm super proud to be from there. And yeah, I feel like that would be awesome.
That would be. Shoot. Plus, like, Toronto just got, they're having a WNBA team. So, like, so it's like, hey, put some respect on Hayley. Like, put some respect on her.
For them.
But, like, y'all could brand something, but like a brand ambassador.
Right. Like, look over here. I'm right here.
It's like she represents the Six. Like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I try to implement a Drake song, but
I love it. I love it.
try. But yeah. If you had to describe your journey, what would it be and why?
Ooh, let me see. I feel like anyone else, it's kind of like a roller coaster. Obviously, like there's highs and lows, but I think for the most part, I have been very lucky and grateful with kind of the opportunities that I've been given. I just think from, middle school version of me who was like this tiny little kid just flipping around doing gymnastics, like I almost could have never imagined that I'd be at a Power 5 conference school competing in the Big 12, kind of at like the highest level of collegiate athletics in track and field. Like, seriously, if you told the middle school version of me that, she'd probably be like, what? Like, what do you mean you're not a gymnast anymore? Um, but yeah, I just feel really lucky to kind of come across such great people in terms of making friends, from my teammates to the people that I sit in class with every day at this point. Like, I think the community aspect has been super, a really important role in my journey. And it's something that I'm really grateful to have come across over my time in college. And yeah, I feel like this is honestly just the beginning. I'm feeling like a lot of confidence brewing and, different things that I want to pursue outside of college. Like I'm graduating pretty soon with 2 master's degrees. So I'm very
Yay.
excited to kind of see what's next. And, I kind of have like that entrepreneurial mindset where I'm like, okay, I can do things for myself. I can create, I'm a creative person, so I'm just excited to kind of explore those different realms. And yeah, let's just say that y'all will be seeing a lot more from me outside of being a college athlete very soon. So I'm looking forward to that.
Girl, it's the ooh and the what's it called? The 2 masters. Ooh.
It's a lot of work, but we're getting it done.
You better let them know, the educated, let them know, like, I got this in the books.
Yep, I'm gonna be standing there with my graduation cap, and yeah, just a couple months from now. So
Oh, so you had that photo shoot with. First of all, I love the photo shoot you had with the I think it was the media day with the crown.
yeah,
You should do that, recreate it with the graduation.
you're
Like,
so right. Let me write that down right now because absolutely, yeah, for sure. I got to get my cap early because our media day is in like a week, I think, just over a week. So we're gonna be taking those pics soon. So I got to find one for sure.
It's like you could just like do the little crown and then with the little cap, just
Yep.
just first of all, love the media day pictures. I was like, woo, slay.
I know, I'm so excited that I get to do one more. Like, this is the last one for real, but hey, one more round.
It's like gotta make it count. Boom.
Exactly.
Got slay on them. So
Yep.
I don't know what it is. I just love media day pictures for the athletes, especially for the women. Like I'm a girl's girl, but
Yep.
just to see the women, like just their media days, they just slay like on and off the field. So it's like, hey, we may be a beast on the field or the court, but we will make sure to slay off of it. Like
You already know. It's one of my favorite times of year as well because we really get to show out and be creative. Like I think UCF honestly does one of the best jobs of doing media day stuff because they have so many props and different backgrounds, and they take pictures, videos, like everything. And I feel like it's huge in terms of like NIL as well. But we love having the content for our own Instagrams and all that. So stay tuned, y'all. In about a week's time, we'll have some year 6 media day pics.
girl, and it gives them like y'all feel like y'all get like that time where y'all can make y'all own videos while everybody else is doing their media day. Y'all get to do
Yeah.
y'all own videos, so it's like
The behind the scenes. Okay, noted. I'll get some behind the scenes for y'all too.
ooh, look at that, look at that, iron sharpens iron. So my question, I always ask my guests this question. So Bonafide means authentic and unique. So what makes Miss Hayley Manners bonafide, and what makes your story stands out?
Ooh, okay. Authentic and unique. I would definitely say something, when somebody asks me kind of like what one of my strengths are or something that I'm proud of within myself, I would definitely say it's my confidence and my optimistic mindset, because I just like somehow, some way try to find the good in every situation. And I don't know if it's like a delusional level of confidence, but I just feel it in my brain that like I'm capable of doing hard things, and I want to inspire other people to kind of reframe their mindset to think the same thing. And so I think that would probably be my unique quality, because I really try to, whether it's my friends or people that are listening to this podcast, like I want to hype you up, whatever your story is. I want to kind of be that person to help you convey it, but also be confident in what you're doing, because I feel like just leading by example, like the things that I do, I'm very confident in, not in an arrogant way or anything, but it's just like knowing and believing in yourself. I feel like that's something that I exude, and hopefully it rubs off on other people. So, yeah.
Ooh, girl, the confidence is brewing like coffee.
Got to be.
It's brewing like coffee. So I love it because confidence is key, confidence is queen. Let them know. So
Mm-hmm.
so I call this the shameless plugs because I always got to make sure all my guests gets the support and everything, get their coins. So
Yeah.
how and where people can follow and support you, and if there's any upcoming events for you?
Yeah, I would say you can catch me pretty much everywhere. Hayley.manners, just like how it's spelled on the screen. I know you can spell Hayley a bunch of different ways, but I'm most active on Instagram, YouTube right now. I've been really loving, and then even Snapchat. Ever since we got verified on Snapchat, I've kind of been posting a little bit more of like behind the scenes on there. So my username is actually just Hey Manners on there. And yeah, upcoming events. I mean, I'm gonna just be grinding throughout the rest of the fall. Coming back from injury is not easy, and I've just been doing my best to get this foot in check so that I can have a successful and exciting last season of college. So definitely follow me on all the platforms and look out for, sixth year athlete relatable content. So
Ooh, I like the 6 year. And girl, you are not a grandma. So it's like you're the veteran. You the leader. You the
sometimes my
veteran.
body feels like it, but
So thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 84. Yes, episode 84 of Bonafide Her podcast. Big shout out to Miss Hayley Manners for sharing your
oh,
story.
thank you for
You
having
guys can
me.
check out the live replay of episode 84 after this. Peace.